How did you learn English?
I learned English by coming to America and learn through ESL class and also taking some Japanese tutor who taught me in English.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
also I had like American tutor who are bilingual
Oh,
who helped me out.
okay.
I
You
was,
didn't.
I was a series of different tutors and classes in different environments. It wasn't like a single one where I learned.
Oh, okay. You didn't watch. You didn't learn English through watching TV.
I don't think so because
Oh.
if I don't understand the meaning of it, then how would I learn, right? Like you don't just watch like K drama and suddenly you're fluent. You have to be taught what each words are. So it's the tutor teaching me the words. And then if I watch anime, like I might pick up like, oh, I know the word,
Yeah.
but it's never by watching. And American shows, there's no subtitle.
Yeah.
There's no like a Japanese subtitle
Yeah.
for me to translate like what they're saying to the Japanese words. It's just there's no subtitles, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to the UbeMatcha Podcast. Today we're talking about Elisha. He has the spotlight today because he came to America when he was 13 years old, didn't speak English, and experienced some huge culture shocks. And so we'll talk about what those were, and if you are a immigrant coming to the US from Asia or any other country, I'm sure you can relate, so let us know what you relate with. So let's start from, why did you come to America?
So for me, I had no choice because my parents wanted to send me to US, right? To have a better opportunity, the American dream and the education. It's almost like if you have an opportunity or option to go to America, then you should. I think it's the mentality.
For better opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because I grew up in Japan, back in the time, Japanese people weren't maybe thinking that's a better opportunity. I think it's more so if you come from like a Philippine or maybe Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the government situation where you feel like there is the ceiling in your opportunity, right? No matter how good you are.
You feel like you can't advance or
Right.
move forward as easily as if you went abroad.
Yeah. And I think my parents are a little bit unique in that even in Japan, they thought I'm better off in US
Oh,
than to
okay.
stay because a lot of Japanese people were very comfortable staying in Japan because it's a good society, right? Everything you get is really good. So why
Right.
leave your country? But my parents thought it's better if I go.
So Elisha came to the US and didn't know any English.
Which is very typical of Japanese people.
Yes.
Only now the elementary school kids are learning English.
Oh, they are. Okay. Yeah.
And previously, in my age or in my time, it would be when you get to junior high school is when you start to learn foreign language.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I didn't know any English
So it's not mandatory to learn English.
until you're junior high school
Okay.
back in the time. But now it is, I think, part of the program in elementary school.
Oh, I see. How did you communicate with people when you first came to the US?
I didn't really got to communicate well at all. Like it was more body language. Like I would play sports. And you don't need language when you play sports.
Oh,
right?
true. Yeah.
And they would tell me or say something to me, and I'm like, I don't know what they're telling me.
Yeah.
But then they would repeat certain words.
Yeah.
Something I didn't catch on early on was they're telling me, say X, say Y. And I was like, what's say?
Oh, you're like,
I
what
was
does that
like,
even mean?
What does that even mean? But then, of course, because they repeat it so many times, I would have a chance to ask someone like my mom, like, what does that mean
Yeah.
to say? Then like, oh, I see what they're like a saying. They wanted me to say something, or they would commonly ask me about like, where did you come from?
Yeah.
And those are the repeated questions that I pick up and like, oh yeah, I see what they're saying. So I would expand my vocabulary and understanding of English.
Yeah.
But it was very much just like throwing into another country.
Yeah.
And just have to figure it out. And
Yeah.
it took a couple of years to feel like I was starting to hear the words and sentences. I just don't know the word.
Yes.
The particular word, but I can hear the individual words. I think it's very common that when you learn a new language, you can't even tell the difference between like the beginning of the word or sentence and the end of it, right?
Yeah, it just sounds like it's all
like muddled. Especially native speakers speak really fast.
Yes.
So they'll go blah, 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 blah. I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. So they have
That's
to.
what Tor and Kang in our previous episode were talking about too, how people speak English really fast. It was hard for them to follow. We had a party and Tor said he felt a little overwhelmed. He's like, I feel like I need to learn English better. Yeah. Yeah,
I would actually try to consciously speak slower and pronounce words more clear when I talk to people not coming to US, but their primary language is not English.
Yeah.
Because I know that it is hard to just even distinguish the word. And if you like, what do you call it, like a slur, or if you like connect the words as you speak.
Instead, slur all the words together.
Yeah, like instead of saying like this, instead of saying like this, like it just sounds like
it just sounds muddled. Like one chain, of words all mixed up. Yeah, that could get really confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a hard time understanding people when you first arrived in the U.S. What were your first impressions of the U.S.?
First impression of U.S. It's a big city.
City. So Seattle was a big city.
Seattle is a big city.
Yeah.
And of course, like places like Tokyo is big too, but big as in like the land and area. Oh. You have to drive. Like that's a very new experience because I used to just walk and take train and I go to different cities by myself.
Oh yeah, even at a young age, right? Yeah. That's typical in Japan, right? Where
even when
children can take the train by themselves.
Yeah, even when I was like maybe 10 years old, I would just go to different cities, take trains, take buses, no problem.
Yeah.
We even saw like little children, like maybe like 8 years old, 7 years old,
getting on the train and
getting on a train together,
Oh,
going
cute.
to school.
Yeah.
So that's common, but here I have to rely on my mom to drive me all over the place.
Yes.
And that means it's not easy to hang out with friends, for one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no entertainment. Like you can get a lot of entertainment in Japan just by going around places, but here, like, well, there's no random entertaining place to go.
Yeah, right? Like we're gonna go grocery shopping, as a kid, or I guess you could walk to the beach if you're close enough, or walk to a nature trail. But then there's a question of whether you can even go alone.
Yeah,
I guess there is a dependence, I feel like, on parents, right, to take kids around or to supervise. So you probably develop maybe more independence at a younger age, do you think, maybe in Japan?
Yeah, I think I was pretty much independent. I think I was outside a lot more in Japan. But here, you're just like at home. And I was just playing the Game Boy games I brought from Japan.
Yeah.
I also had a laptop.
Yeah.
Windows laptop. I think I was one of like a young, early kid who got to play with the computer. Yeah. And I got really deep into using it because I had so much time at home. Yeah. Right, instead of playing outside, because there's no way to play outside.
Yeah.
I don't even have my friend's phone number. Whereas in Japan, I would have a phone directly of people I can just call. And ask if they're available to hang out. Yeah. And if they are, I'll just go there.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. But here, like, you have to coordinate everything.
Yeah, with your parents, with their parents, and see if it's okay. Oh, okay. I didn't really think about that much. Yeah.
Less freedom as a kid.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I feel like you don't really think about that much, the independence. aspect that you have in Japan. What did you think of food when you arrived here? Because food is really important to you. I know.
Unfortunately, not so good.
Okay,
was my impression.
Food, yeah, wasn't that great.
Yeah, I think now it's quite different, but back in the time, as in like, when did I come? Like 22 years ago, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's early 2000. There are no Asian restaurants around us. Maybe there's like a one that's like
in walking distance.
Yeah. There's maybe one that existed in the city, and that was even more like a treat, and it even tasted a little bit different than native Japanese food.
Than Japanese food in Japan.
Yeah. And of course, there was not much. Like I guess if you went to the Federal Way in Washington State, like a couple hours of drive, then yeah, you could get like some Korean food, but it wasn't a common thing. So pretty much I would eat at home. My mom's cooking.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads me to later me end up learning to cook because I wasn't satisfied with the food that I would get outside.
Oh, okay.
I think my mom took me to like a Taco Bell and
she took you to fast food? Oh, that's funny.
Fish and chips.
What'd you think of fast food?
The Burger King.
Oh, she took you to a lot of fast food then.
They're not that great.
Yeah, I know you don't like fast food very much.
Yeah, they're just big in quantity. I guess that is a culture shock. Big in quantity, not so much in the flavor. Right?
Yeah, I feel like the last time we went to McDonald's was when I wanted to get Pokemon cards.
Oh, yeah.
Was it cards?
Yeah, Pokemon trading cards.
Trading cards, yeah. That was the last time we went to McDonald's.
All the adult went that they had to say, like, you can only get one per customer.
Yeah, and that was like how many years ago? That might have been still during pandemic.
Yeah, it was during the pandemic.
So, I mean, 2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When we last went to McDonald's. So we hardly ever go to fast food places.
Yeah. But yeah, fast food was the go-to because there weren't like a casually cheap places. Maybe she might have took me to a lot of Thai food.
Oh.
And Vietnamese food places in Kirkland. But yeah, big in quantity, not so great in the flavor.
Yeah. Okay, so food was different compared to Japan. Did your dad cook then?
My dad cooked, yeah. He would cook, but we would have a lot of maybe grocery food that's easy to cook as well.
Oh, in Japan. So you would, make things that were easy.
But yeah, here, even the grocery, like Wajimaya was great.
Yeah.
But of course, that's expensive. So we would go to American grocery.
And it's more convenient because it's closer for the most part.
Closer. And I guess that is another cultural shock. Huge supermarket. And not so great of a product selection.
Oh, compared to what you get in Japan.
Yeah. Because in Japan, like, you get so much like tasty stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Here, it's like a big and bulky food that is not necessarily healthy. And it's just like a bland taste of things.
Yes.
So, like you can get a lot of big quantity of, let's say, chicken at cheaper price.
Yeah.
But if you cook yourself, I think that's good. But if not, then your selections are limited, and you get like a really crappy pastries.
Oh, sad.
Or the deli is like okay, and a lot of box shelf stable stuff wasn't so great.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
So you came to America when you were about 13. So you were in junior high school. Fun fact, we actually met in high school, even though I did see you around in junior high. Yeah.
And even though I did the whole talent show and stuff, and I was on the stage like by myself, but I guess you didn't.
I didn't recognize him. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I did the whole national anthem on the last day of the junior high.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, like that one Asian guy. You can't miss that, but I guess you weren't paying attention.
I'm like, whatever, no. I have other things to worry about in junior high. But so I was born here in the US, and if you couldn't tell yet, I represent the Ube side of the podcast because I'm Filipino American. Obviously, he's Matcha. But what did you think when you started going to school here? did you have any culture shocks about school?
So funny story, I graduated from elementary school in Japan in April, and then I immediately came here. And I was still sixth grade in US because you would graduate in June.
Right? A little later.
A little later. So I ended up going to the elementary school here as well for like 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
Then I graduated from I think it was Juanita Elementary School. So yeah, I graduated from elementary school.
So you graduated twice. Yeah.
Oh man, school system completely different.
Is it? Yeah.
One thing, well, there's so many things. Like first, school lunch sucks.
Oh US. Yeah.
I don't know why they're feeding all these like crappy like pizza and like the burger.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, hot dogs.
The milk cartons.
Yeah, milk carton and crappy snacks that they give you.
Did they even give us vegetables when we were kids? I was trying to even remember. Like, I don't even, maybe peas was like the only vegetable.
Yeah, maybe like a little bit of like
carrots.
Yeah,
maybe some carrots.
Or something. Yeah. Or apple. They will give you apple, right?
Yeah.
That you just eat straight, which is also a culture shock because you don't do that in Japan.
You don't just eat an apple straight.
You would peel the apple,
cut it up,
with in the shape of the rabbit, right? That's how you eat it.
Okay, yeah, like the housewife bento version.
Even at the school, that's how I think it came.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
The people who are cooking lunch would cut it,
make it presentable.
Yeah, make it presentable. But here, it's like
here's some food, eat that. Get some energy.
And in Japan, if you don't know this, you would have the menu decided for you for every single month. And you would have all the ingredients.
Oh, it lists out all the ingredients as well.
And it's sent to parents every month. So parents know what they're eating at school.
Okay.
And that's how parents can even plan so that they don't cook the same thing, right? So
every day. That's a good idea, right? So they don't eat the same thing. Like you don't eat a burger for lunch and then a burger for dinner.
And there's no such as burger as a lunch in Japan. It's like a rice and miso soup and like a cooked fish and like a salad, or sometimes it's like a soba noodle or a udon noodle, curry rice. Sometimes it's a bread-based stuff. It's all different every single day. So
it's a complete meal. It sounds like you get all the nutrients that you need from the meal versus in America, it's almost like carbs,
here's
carbs,
a pizza.
carbs.
Yeah, here's a pizza. Here's whatever. That was huge culture shock that I just couldn't stand. The lunch options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of snacks that look very unhealthy, right?
Like Doritos, Cheetos, you know, from the vending machine, and then all the sodas.
Yeah. So that was unhealthy.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that part of it. It was also interesting to note that in Japan, after lunch, you would clean up the classroom. That's like part of every single day. You clean up your classroom. Here, just have the janitor
clean it up.
Yeah. So you don't learn those responsibility as a kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like the idea of keeping your space clean,
right?
And thinking about others, how you use it, so you don't mess it up,
right?
Because that gives you more work to do later, right?
Yeah. There's a saying, at least in Japan, that you should keep things clean when you leave than when you came.
Keep them cleaner,
right? And there's no such spirit that I thought was a norm. Here, it's very efficient, profit-based system, right? Like, well, why have students do it when you can pay someone else
to do it, right?
And then kids are just like packed to learn, study. They don't waste time, right?
Yeah, learning. I mean, it's a life skill in a way too, right? To learn how to clean. Yeah.
So that part was completely different. And obviously, I didn't understand any English, so I didn't understand any school materials.
Yeah.
But I guess school materials, it's quite different. But in general, there's like a different period to learn different subjects, right? Like math, like literature, PE, all this stuff. And we would play outside. I'm trying to remember, like we had some music class. I think those are maybe very typical. But huge culture shock on the food, how the students spend their time at school. Of course, students themselves are more diverse. At least in Kirkland, right? It's a mix of like different race.
Yeah, in Kirkland, Washington.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's unique. I'm trying to remember, like, just the people are different, but
were the subjects ahead or behind in the U.S. compared to Japan, or which ones were ahead or behind?
I think math was super behind.
Really, in the U.S.
Yeah, even though I didn't understand English, math doesn't require too much English to solve, right? So I would always be the first one to finish.
Okay. Yeah. Well, aren't you smart?
Even in U.S. And I think I was in a good, or like I was good at math in Japan, but it's not like I was the smartest kid. But here, like everyone else seems
to be lacking.
Yeah, lacking, right?
Yeah.
That is probably because in Japan and China and Korea, probably like mathematics are like almost like you have to do it fast. You have to know how to solve it.
There's an emphasis on doing it quickly.
Yeah. And they would even have classes, right, of the abacus.
Oh, who can calculate the fastest?
Yeah, like calculating with the abacus, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't take those classes, but like, yeah, it's a common thing. Like you want to solve it fast and quick and like be able to do that. It's almost like a pride of doing that. But here it's like really slow. And I don't know anything about literature or history class. Because I didn't even understand the material.
Yes.
PE is maybe a little bit slower or maybe more on the safe side.
Safe side? What do you mean by safe side?
Like I remember doing more like a crazy like moves and like, you know, like where you jump on top of the, what do you call that thing? Like the one that you press on and hop over.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that. Or it's like almost like a catapult.
But or the bar that you jump up and all the stuff. I think
like gymnastics.
Okay. I think it was a little bit more on a safer side in the US, at least in elementary school. I think it was a little bit more like we would be on top of the bar.
What
do you call those? Like a bar where you hang on?
Yeah, like a monkey bar.
Monkey bar. Yeah. I would do like flips and all this stuff, right?
Oh, that's interesting. I feel like in middle school in the US, we went to the same junior high, but I feel like you stopped doing gymnastics because in elementary school, I did a lot of gymnastics. Like I did the monkey bars and I did like the catapulting and like tag, and you stop doing that when you're older. And now I wonder why, because I feel like it's important to move all different parts of your body. And I feel like it shouldn't stop just because you get older. So I guess it's because also you don't have recess anymore when you get older.
Yeah, my guess is that in Asia, your body differences are much smaller in the range that everyone can do.
Different students.
Right, between different students that everyone is measured based on the benchmark. There's a benchmark of, like in the pool, how many meters you should be able to swim if you're in that grade.
And they can apply that because there's a smaller range.
Yeah, smaller range of people. But in the US, it's like such a huge range.
Right, it's a diversity of people.
And in the size of the body too, like much bigger than
it's different.
In Asia. Like, there's a little variation, but like in US, like there's bigger and smaller and different race. And that I think probably contributes to, PE is more like maybe you play sports together for fun, but you're not benchmarked as much.
Yeah. Oh, a revolution. I didn't think about that actually. Yeah. So who were your first friends in school?
I think it was the Asian friends. I think they're probably Chinese friends. I'm kind of fuzzy on that because it's not like I had a conversation
it's hard for you to
with them
communicate
as much, right? Like I'm just assuming, but Chinese American friends, they seem like they grew up there because their English was very fluent.
Yes.
It's probably the likeness, right? Like, there's another Asian fellow, like let's connect.
Like they can relate.
Yeah. So I don't think I had a lot of Caucasian or African American friends much at that time.
Did you ever suffer any difficult times with people?
Major difficulty I had is when in Japan, I guess we call it skinship, right? Like where you would touch each other.
Like in a friendly way?
In a friendly way, right? Like it could be like bumping for fun, or like, I don't know, it could be like,
like playing around,
doing silly stuff. That's taken seriously in US.
Oh, like you're physically abusing someone, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I got in trouble one time.
But you hit someone a little too hard.
Not hitting, right? Like I might be like going like this or something. Because I was trying to communicate with the body language. Yeah. What else can I do? But I got called once, and like, hey, your friend, they didn't like to be touched.
Oh, so they complained to the counselor. Complained to
it was actually a Japanese lady who I think she must have been like a social worker or something, who may not work full time at school, but she helps students like me from foreign country to kind
of adapt.
Yeah, because nobody else spoke Japanese. But there was like an old Japanese lady who came in and told me like, hey, in US you don't touch people.
Wait, they even got her to come in to talk to you?
Yeah. Because in Japan, like, or if you watch all the animations, right, it's like you would be doing like this.
Yeah, it's like horsing around.
Or you're like, or like, or, there's a lot of body, like, it's the thing. That's normal.
Communication,
communication, but no, you don't touch people in US.
It could be taken the wrong way, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's maybe another interesting thing.
That's super awkward.
People in US are kind of paranoid about like the adults, or maybe not just adults.
Not just adults, I think, but just in general, anything that could be seen inappropriate.
Yeah. Very sensitive.
Yes. I think there's a variety of reasons for it. Yeah, I think, people are really different. People have different comfort levels with it, probably. So, I don't know. It could be part of it, but yeah.
That was quite different.
Yeah.
Of course, I would, play with them, play sports. That's probably my best way that I got to connect with
connect
my friends.
With others. Yeah. Did you make any friends that weren't Asian?
I don't know if I was able to. There was in junior high, there was like a white kid who seems to be very interested in like making an Asian friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So those kids, yes.
Yeah.
Some were even really interested in Japanese culture specifically. So only if they were interested in me as Asian person or Japanese person, then they became friends. But otherwise, I think it looked like American people wanted to just hang out with other American people. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever get bullied, or did anyone ever treat you differently?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if bullied is right word, because I think it is, but also kids being kid, always making fun of each other, right? And right now you might call it racist, but they would call me like Ichiro.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Because Ichiro was
that's the
most
Japanese
person
they know in the US.
Yeah, he was at the Mariners at that time.
Playing for the Mariners.
Yeah, he was really popular, and sometimes it's used as a good meaning, right? Like, but sometimes it's just a racial, like, oh, like I see you as the one kind or same kind.
Yes.
Right. So, and there are some making fun of me maybe because I didn't understand English.
Yeah.
But that could just be, you could categorize as a little bit of bullying, but yeah.
Was there anything that you thought was better in the US, whether it be school or outside of school?
I like the fact that maybe as long as you follow some of the rules, it's more relaxed in US. Like you don't have to wear a uniform.
Yeah, it's a big thing in Japan and a lot of even like Asian, European.
Yeah, starting at junior high school, for sure you have to wear a uniform. But I didn't have to wear a uniform. I would just wear my clothes. Like you can be a little bit more yourself. It's also a common problem in Japan that you have to keep your appearance the standard way. Like your hair cannot be long
at school
as a man, as a boy.
Uh-huh.
Your hair has to be short. You have to wear like the uniform. You can't wear like anything else. And for girls, like you have to wear a skirt, and then skirt has to be certain length.
Yeah.
Right. And that rules are much more relaxed here because everyone is different. So how can you enforce rules like that, right? So I like that about school system in the U.S. Maybe I did like that. I didn't have to do like cleaning and all this stuff because they would have school janitors do that. I don't know if it's a better thing, but as a student, like I get to be a little bit more lazy and spend less time on those things that it's supposed to teach you like life skills. Like I don't have to do that.
Yes.
So I like those things. Food still wasn't great in junior high and high school. I think I got to be more myself, doing my own thing. In Japan, you would have to conform to what everyone else is doing. You would have to belong to a group. You would have to be like, you're either in a cool group or not so cool group. I guess that's still the case in US.
There's still some cliques. Right. People kind of forming groups with who they get along with the most or have similar interests, which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing.
But there are some good things, but
do you wish now that you lived in Japan versus the US, or do you prefer now to live in the US?
I think living in US was good, and I feel like I would have had different difficulties living in Japan, following all the traditional rules that doesn't quite make sense. And you're more worried about conforming to the rules than to focus on studying or doing extracurricular activities, or you feel like everyone is watching you and you have to do something certain way in Japan. And I think for me, who are maybe not as conforming type personality, the U.S. system.
You're very individualistic already.
But some people like to conform and feel comfortable doing that. But I think overall, maybe U.S. system, especially in Washington, our school district was highly rated. I think that was good. I think there's some other experience that I heard, like in Seattle, where like they didn't want anything to do with that school, and parents would decide to move for kid because they think the school in Seattle weren't so great.
In downtown Seattle.
So I know it's not the same across the region, right? But for me, it probably worked out pretty well. Yeah, even my dad would say like, you wouldn't work out in Japan.
He said that.
Yeah, because you're not like typical Japanese kid who follows the rules.
You already knew that you were going to be a rule breaker. So then taking it back, and because your parents pretty much forced you to come to the U.S., it's not like you wanted to come to the U.S. of your own volition. How did you feel when you first moved?
So it kind of starts a couple of years before I move, because my parents would already tell me that I'll be moving to U.S.
They're already putting it in your head that you're moving.
And as a kid, I wasn't sure, right? Like, am I actually moving or am I not going to move? And I would tell my friend, like, I might be moving to U.S., like, once I graduate from school. And, of course, that day would come, and then I would have to move. And in a way, I think mostly I felt like, why do I have to move? Because it's not like I wanted to move.
Right.
I didn't have any fascination about American culture. Japan was already good, and I have a lot of friends. And my dad would tell me, well, the friends you have today are not going to remain as friends in the future.
Wise words from your dad.
Yeah, he would tell me that the college friends are the ones that typically become like lifelong friends. But elementary school friends, like, you're not going to see them ever. And I think that's the case. I don't see any elementary school kid friend even in the US. Or even junior high, it's very selective people who still live in the same exact house. Then I think we we know and we hang out with them, but a lot of them like moved out and we don't even hang out with them, right? But I think college friends, we still hang out.
Yeah.
Or friends we still hang out in college.
Yes.
Or the new friends we met in college, they become lifelong friends who would come to our wedding. But so I kind of believed my dad's words and like, okay, I guess. Like,
oh, you thought your dad had wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was pretty disappointed because I love Japanese animation, Japanese game, Japanese food, all the things I love.
So you're gonna be uprooted from everything that you already like loved. It's not like you're really into American like food or like sports or like anything.
I think that may be different if I grew up in some other country where you have less opportunity or less comfortable life. Maybe I'll be like, oh my God, this is a way for me to get out of it. But I don't know how many kids think that way. I feel like they feel like parents are forcing them.
You felt your life was comfortable then, right?
Yeah, pretty comfortable,
Yeah. So like, why do I have to start again in this like new place I've never been to?
Yeah. With the language I don't speak. Especially being Japanese, your likelihood of being able to speak English is like way worse than any other Asian country. Like, I think when Filipinos, like your family, move here, they have to adjust a little bit, but I feel like they adjust really quick.
I think what helps Filipinos is knowing English. A lot of Filipinos can speak English, at least like decently. So being able to communicate is a big thing. It's a big asset that you don't have to struggle.
And you typically have a family network, right? I don't think Filipino usually come by themselves, except maybe your parents are a little bit different. The first immigrant who paved the way for the rest of them are a little bit different, but most of them kind of cluster around the similar area.
Right.
But for me, it's just me and my mom and trying to make friends through a church, Japanese church, and all the places where we can find Japanese people.
Yeah.
We would make that, but otherwise, don't know what to expect. And
how did you cope then when you came to the U.S. with that? Like, did you try to connect with the Japanese community?
Yeah, Japanese community.
Did you try to take on new hobbies? Or
Japanese community for sure kind of help ease. And we almost have a shared experience coming to U.S., right? Because a lot of Japanese people, some of them do live and are second generation, like first generation, second generation. Great. But a lot of them also move because of their dad's job. Very typical.
Oh, okay.
Very typical.
So again, like they were almost like forced. It's not like they're like, I want to live in the U.S. and experience everything.
So I got to make friends who were in a similar, maybe not similar, but because of their dad's job, they would come to U.S. for just a couple of years. And then I would make friends with those people who were just temporarily here.
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to cope. And this is my opinion, but any parents who try to send their kid to U.S. and try to segregate them from the people of their community because they think that's a better approach for them to learn English, I think they're missing out on the mental health portion of those children. Because when you are thrown into another country and you don't know their language, you feel anxiety. You don't know if you're doing or saying things right. Maybe the host family is trying to do their best.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're professional, mental health counselor. They don't know everything that you're going through, right?
Yeah.
So I know a few people as exchange students who came to US and got thrown into majority American community with no Japanese
like support. Yeah.
Got really depressed many times. Most of them go through the experience. Some of them were just like, I'm done. I need to go home. I think that's too extreme of a thing that parents tend to do. I think it's best to provide the balance of the support of their familiarity of the culture. And they have to learn English and they have to be forced, but just by being in the US, you're kind of exposed every day and you need a safe place in US where like, okay, I feel like I can speak Japanese and have someone that I can talk through my problems or struggles, and they'll tell you like, oh, it's okay, American people might do that, but they don't mean bad. Like, oh, I understand the culture better.
Yeah, because it's not just a communication issue, it's a whole like
a cultural
issue too, because you don't really understand like what they mean, maybe with their body language or like how they act, or like the system, you know, if you're acting in a way that makes sense to them. Yeah.
So I think my parents did help me with that coping of it because of the Japanese community that they try to find and then put me into.
Yeah. When did you start feeling more comfortable in the US? Or when do you feel like you're like, oh, I am almost like assimilating more?
Maybe that happened around when I was college student.
Oh, wow. Okay. It took a few years.
Yeah, it took maybe 6+ years till I felt like I'm comfortable with it. Because I think first few years I spent time just catching up to learn English.
Yeah.
And then I start to understand school subject better. And then I can keep up with it better. But even then I felt like I'm still like a foreigner or outsider. I'm still trying to assimilate. I think college after 6 years is when I start to feel very comfortable, where I feel like once I made it to UW, I feel like I've done enough job to prove myself.
That you feel like, okay, like I can make it.
Yeah, I can make it.
Yeah.
Because that was my worry that I had, is when I turned 9th grade, I remember I think counselors came in and then teach us how your income projections are going to be different based on the degree that you have.
Oh, they broke it down for you.
Yeah, break it down with high school diploma versus bachelor versus master versus doctor. And they'll tell you, this is how much income you're expected to make. And I feel like that's a very American thing to do, right? You teach the importance of the degree based on how much money you make.
Oh, so it was almost like if you get a bachelor's, you're smarter than someone with a
like you make more money.
Yeah.
Like they show me the dollar figure of salary. Oh. That's a very American way.
Also, when we don't talk about salary though, in particular, it's kind of odd in a way too, because you don't even really know how much people make in each category.
Right. But one thing I know for sure that if I don't get to college, I might be working at McDonald's. Which I didn't want to do.
Right. You're like, that
was a weird fear that I had in me. Like, oh my God, like I don't want to be like flipping burgers every day. Like, no offense to anybody doing that, but just my personal feel or worry, right? Like I didn't come here
to flip burgers.
Flip burgers, right? I could do that in Japan. Like, why don't I stay in Japan and flip burgers? Like, that might be even better if I have to.
So it's like I have to make something of myself now that I'm here.
Yeah. So that's when I realized, I need to study and get good GPA and then get to the college. And when I finally did it, feel like, okay, I can say like I learned or my capability is good enough to get into college. And of course, they may have, seen like, oh, you're one of the minority and like we'll help you get in. And I think my SAT score was fine. It's not like a top score. It's not like, oh, wow, I have a great score because I struggled with the like English part of the SAT. But I had a lot of school. I had a really good GPA. I had a really, really good extracurricular activities, which I consciously did to get those points to get to the college. But after I got in, I felt like, okay, I should feel confident in myself.
Like a sense of like relief and accomplishment. Yeah.
Even then, I didn't really assimilate to the culture of college student because I didn't go drink or stay in the dorm and do crazy stuff. I just studied.
Yeah. I guess what your personality is, though, from when you're young is going to be what it is when you're older, most likely, right? If you were never a big social person that does a lot of activities, you're probably not going to become that way,
right?
In college. Then finally, what would your advice be to maybe like a young Japanese person or maybe Korean, I don't know, they could have the same experience, who are being forced to move in a way for whatever reason, in whatever circumstance, to the US, how to get help or how to kind of cope with the situation.
I think kids today have a lot of options. There's a social media. There's a free way to communicate with the people around the world. We didn't have that, or I didn't have it. Like, I could call people in Japan, but that's not really like connecting with them, right?
Yeah.
Social media, you can chat, do a lot of chats, and have a video call. There's so many options today. So make sure to do that, because your mental health of feeling at home while you're like slowly going out of the nest and meet the people in the world that's different than where you come from.
Yeah.
But I would say mental health, make sure you're happy, make sure you're in a good shape. And that means, depending on situation, if you're living with your parents, that's maybe easier than if you're sent to live in the host family home.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Make sure you try your best to build a relationship, but know that whatever you grew up to learn about the etiquette and how you're supposed to communicate is going to be different. So expect the difference. And unless you are like the type who really struggle at school, you're going to do fine. You'll do okay. You're not going to understand some of the subjects, especially if it's English focused, as much, but you'll catch up. You'll like me, you'll be able to go to college or community college. There's so many options, and you'll just be fine. Make friends, make sure to experience a lot of things. It will be scary, but I think a lot of things I did, even without understanding what it is, I think was really helpful. Like, I would do extracurricular activity at school, like playing music and joining different groups of people.
Yeah, and that didn't really need English, right? For you to do those things, participate in that way.
Yeah. So overall, I think you'll be okay, but you also have to make sure you do what you need to do to feel okay, whether it's the food, right? Like, you learn to cook so you can have a home cooked food that's familiar to your taste, or make friends that are Asian people and speak in your own tongue. Don't worry about it. Like, you're gonna learn English. You have to make sure there's a lot of safety zones and comfort so that you can adventure and deal with all the hardship that you're gonna have.
Yeah.
But in the end, it'll be okay. And for some people, it might not work out at all, but just remember the experience that you had in US is eventually going to be resourceful in your life. Even when you have to go back to your own country, you're still going to be unique and different in the work that you do in your own country. So,
yeah, I think it's a good lesson in just trying things and learning how to be resilient and kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So
build your grit.
Yeah.
Gritty. Yeah.
But just be careful about how you, I don't know, roll with the punches in the US.
Don't break the law. It's one thing Asian people screw up, because we're okay with we're okay with a little bit of violence.
Okay.
Like, it's really common to hear about, like, I know we're trying to end, but like, it's common to, like, I don't know, punch people or treat your spouse like the Asian way, like screaming at them or throwing things.
I feel like the word for that is roasting. Or like,
or even things like that.
Friendly jabs.
Yeah. Or even like, as you grow up, like, you need to know, like, you don't pass school bus when it's stopped. And all these little things Asian people screw up because there's no such thing, right?
Okay.
As long as you're conscious of these things, watch YouTube video. There's so many cultural etiquette stuff you can watch. I had to learn by making mistake. Now you can just watch
Yeah.
I'm kind of envy about this generation.
Like all the resources that are available, right? Because there's a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think UbeMatcha is one of the resources.
Yeah.
Where you can learn about all these
We're
things.
trying to become one. Yeah. So I hope this was in a way maybe eye-opening or helpful or reassuring to you, whoever you are watching. So thank you so much for tuning in, for spending time with us. Please subscribe to this channel so that we know you're enjoying the content. Please like and comment and let us know if you're in school, like grade school, have school lunches improved? Is it more now than burgers, hot dogs, carton of milk? Times have changed, so maybe, hopefully. But we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.